What is going on, everybody? 4x4 Camping Adventures coming out with another episode, and today we are doing the comparison Ridge Ryder versus Thumper. Let's get into it. No BS. Every single tyre is now 15 psi, and to keep it fair and honest, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I've tested these up to 36 psi. I can get the gauge on here. I've marked it out. I know where I'm at. Same with the Thumper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go the Ridge Ryder, right hand side, Thumper, left hand side, pump up the front, pump up the rear, then let down the front, and then as I move the compressor back and forth, it's simulating 4 tyres. So the idea is both compressors are going to do 4 tyres each. I'm going to have the GoPro on the timer the whole time. So this is pure this compressor versus this compressor, and keep it as honest as possible. So both compressors aren't going to be stopped. The timer's not going to be stopped between tyres. Essentially, I'm going to literally pull off, if you were at a beach or something like that, I'm going to pull off obviously the hose and obviously go to the next tyre as you would in a real situation. So it's going to be as close to the real thing as possible. I'm in my garage, so there's going to be no heat on them, so it's going to be a very fair comparison with heat and that kind of thing. So less talking. Alright everybody, conclusion on that. Ridge Ryder seemed to nail the Thumper. So they're both reasonably warm, but physically, actually almost burned myself. Physically, the actual Ridge Ryder is a little bit cooler. Don't get me wrong, that has been sitting for a little bit longer. But in saying that, that is like really hot to the touch, if you know what I mean. So, and residual heat doesn't disappear that quickly. I mean, they've been sitting in the sun as well. So, I do believe, and I'm going to say this again, the Ridge Ryder does run cooler. Yeah, that Thumper is really, really hot. So yeah, not that it means much. They both didn't go into a thermal cutout. I mean, one running hotter than the other doesn't really mean much anyway. But just give you an idea, you won't be putting that back in the bag straight away because it's just too hot. Even the casing is extremely warm, so the rest of the unit's fine. Obviously, the hoses and that kind of thing warm, obviously, because of the air going through it. Now, it was about 2 minutes in it, so the Ridge Ryder, from what it looked like, as I said, they're both hooked up to a battery and they weren't running at the same time. Now, I didn't want them to run at the same time because it'd be drawing too much amps off the two batteries and it would slow the compressors down. I don't think that gives you a pretty fair comparison. So I ran them separately off the both batteries, and yeah, look, the Ridge Ryder one, you know, leaps and spades. Now, something else, obviously, people will be saying, oh yeah, the Ridge Ryder's newer. This unit's only 2 months old, so it's only been used a couple of times because I did have my other compressor, which was hard mounted in the car, and I used that for the main time. So this is a fairly new unit. Yes, obviously it's been used less than the Ridge Ryder, but it should be still putting out some pretty good figures, if you know what I mean. Don't get me wrong, 10 minutes isn't slow, but 8 minutes is quicker, obviously. Now, another thing I've taken from this is the easeability of that click latch again. So coming back to that, if you're talking about monetary, obviously, because that's what it's about, the dollars, obviously the Thumper, you just get the standard, just your standard screw type connector, like this. So it's a screw type connector. So obviously in a real world test, obviously I just use that to put them off and on. Whereas obviously the Ridge Ryder comes with this click latch, which I really, really do like. Now, I could have put this onto the Thumper, and obviously they probably would have maybe taken, I don't know, 30 seconds or 40 seconds out of the time. But the Ridge Ryder, the Thumper doesn't come with this standard, so I'm not going to give the Thumper a unfair head start or anything like that, because unless you go buy one of these and add it to it, then sure, you can take probably 45 seconds off the timer. But yeah, obviously this is what they come with factory. So you get this from the Thumper, and you obviously get this from the Ridge Ryder. And obviously that's, as I said, where your extra money's going. Another thing to consider as well, I actually went up a little bit too high with the Ridge Ryder. I was a little bit off with my measurements, so I actually went to 42 PSI. And the other side's obviously at 40 PSI. Checked obviously just after I finished the whole test. Now, that just shows obviously as well that this unit's obviously just the Ridge Ryder is obviously just a little bit faster. Probably not so much faster. I think just more efficient at using obviously the compressor and obviously putting air into the tyres. So that's my take from this. Take what you want from the video. As I said, this is unbiased. I don't really care who won. I paid money for this. I was actually hoping the Thumper would win because obviously I spent money on this one. Do bear in mind, obviously I have been through 3 of these, so this is my 3rd one. So take obviously that from that we will. Obviously I haven't had enough time to obviously really give the Ridge Ryder a you know, a big hard slog. Used it 4 or 5 times, but I haven't had a real good slog with it. So we'll see obviously the you know, the replacements and all that kind of thing from that. Taken from this video, Ridge Ryder's quicker, Thumper lost by about 2 minutes. Yeah, that's probably about all I can say. If you've got any questions or comments about the video, obviously chuck one down the bottom there, but as I said, I can't make it any more fair than this. You had 2 batteries, you had 2 compressors. Both compressors had 4 tyres each, and they both pumped up the tyres in their set times. So, well, that's another episode of 4x4 Camping and Adventures. I shall see you on the next video. And always hit that like button. Chuck us a subscribe if you want to jump on there. And yeah, I'll see you later. See ya.